Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the forecast for each life path number for the very first full moon that's occurring in 2026. It's going to happen on January 3rd. And so we'll take a look at that breakdown in just a moment. This, of course, is a general forecast. If you would like your own personal numerology reading, please book some time with me. My information's in the description box below, and I'd love to work with you. Timestamps for each life path number will be provided in the description box below. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Life path number 1, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 6 for this full moon. And so this really brings in a sense of love and duty when it comes to your focus with friends, family, people closest to your heart, or how you can be of greater service when it comes to uplifting, empowering, inspiring others. So you might find during this time that others need your assistance more, or that, your responsibility is pretty strong when it comes to your home life. And so you're going to have to find ways to manage that and to find that healthy balance between home and work, or also your needs and balancing with that with others' needs to make sure that you don't get burnt out, but to also make sure that you're sort of putting forth any healthy boundaries that need to be in place so that you're not overburdening yourself or overcommitting or saying yes when you really need to be saying no, or vice versa. Usually when we move through a 6 cycle, it can bring about greater need for service, greater responsibility when it comes to how we show up for others and how we tend to others. And in that process, though, we can usually find the solutions that we've been searching for when it comes to our own problems. And so, turning our focus outwards usually helps us to find the solution that we've been struggling with on our own. Now, I would say during this cycle, creativity comes into play, beautifying your space or yourself in some way, however makes you feel good in your environment or in your body, is very much in the forefront for this full moon. So I would say do the things that make you feel good. And part of that is being of service, right? Giving, sharing, showing up for others, and being available. But again, not at your own detriment and not where you're sacrificing yourself. So finding that healthy balance will serve you and the other person greatly. Now, one thing to be aware of or careful of during this full moon are things like martyrdom. I'm going to save the world, or you're going to try to do it for the other person. And that's actually pretty disempowering. So assuming that the other person can do it themselves, but might need some support, that's where you can step in and offer the support that they feel that they need. But trying to do it for them, trying to save the world, that's martyrdom, and you're going to burn out pretty quickly and probably not get very far. The other thing I would say is be careful about being too controlling, being too much of a perfectionist, trying to control an environment or a situation too much, because again, the results that will bring in could be quite stifling. So recognize where you have to surrender and where it is that you have control, or where it is that you can make decisions and follow through with those decisions. So just find your center during this cycle, all while recognizing where, what area of your life needs some TLC and some extra care, and then spruce that area up. I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you got the 6 of Cups. Perfect energy for 6 energy, because it really does sort of bring in this energy of nostalgia, of coming together, feeling supported, feeling loved, those good feelings of happiness and joy and fulfillment with others, or in your accomplishments, or in your home, in your environment. So, if there's a feeling that you want to get back to, then this would be one of those cycles that can help you to figure out how to do that. It's not like you're going to want to go back and relive the past, but this will help you to set up the environment so it feels good, whether that's with the people that you surround yourself with, the work that you do, or your home environment. So beautiful cycle to start off this new year for you all ones. I hope it's a great one. Take care. Bye for now. Life path number 2, you all are going to be working with a vibration of the 7. And so because this is happening in a full moon, there could be some areas of your life that you're being asked to kind of close things out. And that can be an area where maybe you've been overly analytical, maybe you've been overly stubborn in a relationship or with something that you know needs to change, but you've kind of been fighting it. This full moon could bring in a situation that kind of pushes you to overcome that stubbornness. Also, if you've, again, kind of been stuck in your ways in some area of your life, this full moon could show you where some shifts need to occur there so that you can, again, move forward. Any area that you've been sort of moving through distrust or mistrust of, another or of yourself when it comes to making a decision, or of the universe with kind of what life has brought you, then again, this full moon is going to give you ways or show you ways so that you can manage that or move through that and find your way back to trusting self, trusting others, trusting the universe. Anytime we move through a 7 cycle, it's not about forcing anything. It's about letting, the universe present what it wants to present through opportunities or ideas or inspirations. And then we decide how we want to work with it. And so this is one of those opportunities to, pay attention to what comes in for you, whether it's through a dream or through something that someone says, or if it's through an experience. And pay attention to that because it's pushing you towards greater mind, body, spirit sort of alchemy. And through the experience, that holistic health. Where is it that you're out of balance? Again, where is it maybe that you're mistrustful? Where is it that you're not being vulnerable? Where is it that maybe you are avoiding making a decision because you have fear of the unknown? The 7th cycle is going to have you be confronted with that and face that and then make decisions to move forward. Again, this is one of those greater cycles that can help you to rekindle your faith and your trust within yourself, within others, within the universe. And sometimes that's through being confronted with, what it is that needs that sort of magnifying glass put up to it so that we can understand the changes that need to be made or what we need to move through. Or maybe you want to work with a healer or a therapist or a medical professional or something like that that will help you or give you the tools that can help you to find ways to move forward. This cycle is the marrying of the head and the heart. So using your intuition, your inner guidance, as well as the information that's being presented to you to help you to make the decisions that are best suited for you at this time and to not second guess yourself. So for 2s, this is a really powerful cycle to move through because sometimes 2s can struggle with making decisions and, feeling confident in those decisions and not second guessing themselves. So you might find that some decisions need to be made during this cycle. And I would say dive deeper into your intuition, your inner guidance, as well as the information being presented so that you can make an informed decision and trust that that decision is the best for you in this moment. Now, it's interesting because I pulled a tarot card for you all and you got the 6 of Wands. And so this indicates that you might be up for some kind of promotion or greater recognition or, sharing your expertise in a way that you might be known for now or down the road. But some kind of accolade, some kind of reward, some kind of recognition or being in the spotlight in some way could be coming your way. And it's interesting because as you move through a 7 cycle, usually when we have this energy that we're working with, we can feel the need to be more reclusive, to be more in solitude, and we can actually kind of shy away from the spotlight. So with this coming in conjunction with the 7 energy, I think that there's a call here to, recognize where it is that you may shy away from that visibility, or when the visibility comes your way, you might struggle with that a little bit. And that's, again, a lot of times 2s like to be in the background and like let their work shine, but they don't always like being, front and center. So you might just be called to find your balance there, where you can move through any of the fear of being visible or being seen and find acceptance with being in the spotlight every now and then. Because whatever you're being recognized for now, you've worked pretty hard for. So enjoy the rewards. Life path number 3, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 8 for this full moon. And there is something here during this cycle that may come up for you around control and where it is in your life that you feel that need for control, and it's actually creating issues within your life, whether it's in your relationships or whether in your career or taking risks. Maybe it's keeping you from taking the necessary risks in order to move ahead or to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So it's that opportunity to recognize, you only have control over what you have control over, and everything else you have to surrender to the other person, to the universe, to, whatever is out of your hands. Because trying to control something that you absolutely cannot control only leaves you feeling anxious and frustrated and angry and all of the things. So it creates this negative environment, and it's not necessary. So, where you have some control within your environment, within your life, within your career, within all those things, it's going to flow. It's going to move very, as if by magic. But really, it just means you are in control, meaning when you show up, when you put in the effort, when you take the risks, when you do those things, it pays off, right? In the way that it's meant to. But again, how it turns out, exactly what it's going to look like, all those pieces, who's going to be a part of it, what's going to be a part of it, that's sometimes out of our control. And so we can only do our part. And so moving through an 8 cycle, especially at a full moon, is helping you to recognize that, to recognize where is it that you are trying to manipulate or control the situation to the extreme of trying to control the other person or the outcome of a situation, again, to get the results that you want to see. And it's not a judgment, because we all do this, whether we want to recognize or whether we recognize it or not. We're all guilty of this because we want to feel like we're in control of our lives. We want to feel like we're in control of the moving parts of our lives, but we're not always in control of all aspects of that. And that can feel very uncomfortable and very scary at times and very frustrating. But part of this journey is recognizing where we have control. And by control, again, I mean where, when we show up, we get the results we are intending to receive. And where it is that we can do our part, but then we have to hand it over to the universe to do its part. And then it's like this partnership. So, again, it's no judgment. We're all guilty of it, but it's the lessons of life that help us to see what we can control and what we can't. And usually when we're stuck in that stubbornness or that need to, again, manipulate every piece of the puzzle to get what we want to get, then we start to become overly confined. We're afraid of taking risks. We become insecure. We can lash out about those insecurities. And it can have the opposite effect of what we're going for. And it can actually create a lot more stagnant energy than helping us to gain the momentum that we've been looking for. So the cycle can help you to, have the vision, commit to the greater vision, take the risk. And when the universe shows you, hey, you're not in control of this, listen and just surrender it. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but that's going to give you the greatest return of investment. And it's going to make the journey a lot more comfortable. So if there's some area of your life that you don't have that control, then shift your focus towards, again, where you do, where things are flowing, where when you put your energy there, you see movement. That means that you are the key, you're in the driver's seat here. But those areas that, again, you keep hitting yourself against your head against the wall, you're not seeing the progression that you want to see, you're not seeing things turn out the way that you want, hit the pause button, because that means it's out of your hands. There's greater forces at work doing their part, so let them do their work, whoever they may be, and focus on the things that you can focus on and gain momentum with. Because something that we tend to forget is that when we recognize and stay in the energy or the vibration of recognizing that this life is a partnership with the seen and the unseen, with ourselves and our higher selves or the universe or God or whatever you subscribe to. When we recognize that, then we actually open ourselves up to so many more rewards, so much more abundance, so much, just so much. But if we're trying to control every aspect, then that means that the ego is trying to control every aspect. And then we stay small and the rewards stay small. So I do think that this full moon is an opportunity and a practice to recognize, okay, I've got this and the universe has this. So I'm turning this over and I'm going to focus on what I can do in this moment. And it's really going to open, us up to so much when we can do that. And it's interesting because I pulled a tarot card for you all and you got the Two of Cups. And so, like a lot of times I would see this as like some kind of healing within a connection, or, seeing eye to eye, having shared values, or finding common ground with someone. But it's interesting because like I'm really drawn to the idea of like you and your partnership with the unseen, right? Again, your higher self, God, the universe, again, whatever you subscribe to. It's this coming together, this merging, this trusting what you can't see, but knowing that the universe always has your back and you will be provided with, just more than you could ever imagine when you work in tandem and in partnership with the unseen. When you try to do it all yourself and try to control the situation and remain stubborn in that sense, your experience is going to stay small. Your rewards are going to be small because you're trying to do it all alone. And so I really see this cycle as an opportunity to see where it is that you need to loosen the grip a little bit, so where it is that you need to surrender, where it is that you need to trust. And you might not see the results as quickly as you want to see them, but I'll bet you that you're going to see them in a much bigger way than you ever could have expected. Well, life path number 4. So you're going to be working with the vibration of the 9. And so this is an interesting energy to be in at the very start of a new year and a brand new universal cycle. And the reason why I say that is because 9 cycles are usually equated with like things closing out, endings, release, finishing up projects, getting things off your plate, getting organized, clearing the clutter, that sort of thing. And we usually think of like the new year as like time to get started, time to initiate, big new starts. And I think for you all, or for us, right? I'm a 4 too. For us, it's about just shaking off any of that like leftover residue from 2025 that might still feel a little heavy, or might feel like it's some baggage that we brought forward that we didn't need to. And so it's kind of like, going through the closet right at the beginning of the year and really making sure, doing that final sweep to make sure that, we've tied up what we want to tie up. We've, cleaned up any of the loose ends. We've gotten things off our plate that really aren't meant to be there moving forward as we start out this year. So again, use this time, especially also happening at the time of a full moon. So closures, endings, that sort of thing, completion, things coming to fruition. Use this time wisely. Use it to, again, recognize what is not meant to come forward into this new cycle, what would only be weighing you down. And so that can be like old grudges, that can be old belief systems or values, things that are no longer serving you, or that you don't want to have with you starting this brand new chapter in life. So it really is that perfect time to, if you've been procrastinating on something, take care of it. If there's something that's been coming up and it's in your field of awareness, but you keep ignoring it, this is the time to face it, to deal with it. Because you don't want to take it forward, right? You want to like nip it in the bud. Let's put it that way. But again, this is a great time to release any bitterness, any kind of living in the past, anything that's outdated. And you might have to do that through therapy or through a healing or something like that will help you to release it and leave it like in 2025 or whatever, so that you're not, so it's not affecting you moving forward or not hindering you moving forward. So this is one of those times where it's a great opportunity to clear the clutter of your space, of your mind, of your spirit, whatever is holding you back. It's also a really great cycle for recognizing where you can do some greater healing, meaning, where is it that maybe some bridges were burnt that you can help to mend? Or is it that maybe you're holding on to, again, some pettiness or a grudge that would be much better if we could find forgiveness, or finding a way to at least agree to disagree and sort of shift the energy. 4s tend to hold a grudge. We can sometimes get stuck in that stubbornness. And so the start of the year in a 9 cycle at a full moon is a great opportunity to let bygones be bygones. Doesn't mean that you have to let the other person back into your life if it was an unhealthy environment, but find the ways to, find that forgiveness in your heart or whatever you need to do in order to release the heaviness, the negativity that you might be carrying with you, because you don't want to take that with you into this new year. I would also say, where is it that maybe you are stuck in like perfectionism, and where is it that you need to find your center there, because that can affect your home life, your work. So again, finding that greater balance between home life and work and your focus on others as well as yourself. It's just a matter of, again, recognizing where things might be out of balance. The 9 energy helps you to see what needs to be like shifted in order to come into greater balance. I pulled the tarot card for us and we got the 4 of Pentacles. And so this is indicating there's something that we're clinging to, something that we're not ready to let go of yet. I mean, the time has come and it is expired, right? It needs to be released, but we're clinging so tightly to it that that's our focus, and we're missing out on the bigger picture. We're missing out on the bigger opportunities because we're stuck in that lack mentality, or we're stuck in that fear of if I let go of this, if I release this, if I surrender, I might lose everything, or I might not succeed, or I might whatever. And so with the 4 of Pentacles coming through, there's something that we are trying to control that we don't have control over, and it's sort of become our sole focus. And this 9 cycle is saying it's time to let it go. It's time to release it, whatever this may be, because it's sort of becoming all consuming, and is keeping you from taking the risks you might need to take, or, finding the confidence that you might have in order to achieve some of the goals that you've set out for yourself. So I do feel like this full moon will probably show you what needs to be released. What do you need to like loosen your grip on? And it might just be the need to be right, or the need to do it your way. And compromise might be a good thing during this full moon. And it might mean that in that releasing process, it's baby steps. No one's saying you have to let go of everything right away, but start the steps in that direction. So, and do the work necessary in order to get it off your plate, and to free yourself up to everything that wants to come in next. Life path number 5, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 10-1 to start off this new year with this full moon. And so this is a really powerful start to 2026 for you all. With the 1 energy, it's about you. It's your sense of self, your identity. And the question becomes, especially under this illumination, what do you want? And then what do you need to do in order to get it, to make it happen? Because the 1 energy is about action. It's about taking action, showing up, putting in the effort, seeing things through to completion, whatever it may be, taking the risk, taking that leap of faith. But it's not an idle energy. So it's going to push you to get serious about what it is that you want. First, you might have to ask yourself the question, or explore and figure that out. But then once you know, there's no holds barred. It's about taking that risk, going for it, finding your motivation, following that ambition, and setting out to make the decisions and the choices that will help you to achieve whatever you set out to do at this time. And this is leadership energy. And so, yes, it might be about taking the leadership within your own life, but it's recognizing your unique contribution and then finding ways to express that, and taking up more space if you need to, speaking up for yourself, advocating for yourself, being your own best advocate, because nobody can advocate for ourselves like we can, because nobody truly knows what we need or what we want. And so if we're not expressing that, then we're expecting other people to figure it out, and they're going to get it wrong at some point, unless they're really good at guessing. This is a beautiful cycle to tap into your creativity, to tap into your self-confidence. And if you're kind of lacking in that self-confidence, really, especially if it has to do with your creativity, this is the time to, again, take the risks, put yourself out there, be vulnerable in that sense. You are, during this cycle, the visionary, and this is about your individualistic and personal expression. You can't get it wrong. The only thing that you can do is fail because you didn't try. And for 1 energy and moving through a 1 cycle, not trying is not an option. This might be a cycle where you express yourself in a way that you haven't expressed yourself before. Maybe you're standing up for yourself within relationships or within some kind of relational dynamic. Maybe you're expressing yourself creatively in a way that you haven't done so before. This is about tapping into innovation and your own personal innovation, and using that to, again, express yourself in a way that feels true and authentic for you. And to find the courage to be able to do that. The 1 says, what are your big ideas? And how are you going to go about bringing those to life? So any goals that you want to get started on, this is a great time to do it, right smack dab at the beginning of the year. And so I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you got the Seven of Pentacles, perfect energy to correlate with this one cycle. And I say that because, one thing with life path fives is that, you might pick something up and you might start it. And once you kind of figure it out, or once it starts becoming a little bit mundane, you might give up on it too quickly because it's no longer exciting, you don't feel passionate about it, or you're just not seeing the results that you kind of set out to see, and you might give up on it too quickly. And so with the Seven of Pentacles coming through, I think that's beautiful, especially in correlation with your life path energy, because it's that reminder that you have such a beautiful opportunity starting the year off with this one cycle, this full moon, in recognizing what it is that you want, going after it, but also recognizing it's going to probably take time to see the full results. So don't give up too quickly, especially if it feels aligned for you, especially if it's freeing for you and it feels connected for, whatever it is that you want to put out into the world in the way that you want to express yourself. So the hard work will pay off, the dedication, the perseverance, and the patience will pay off. So don't give up too quickly with whatever you start at this time. Life path number 6, you are going to be working with the vibration of the 11-2 for this illumination. Now, anytime we work with a 2 cycle, it gives us an opportunity to really establish our sense of ourselves without losing ourselves in another person, right? Or seeking that approval or validation from the outside. And so it gives us an opportunity to recognize where we might be doing that, where we might be losing ourselves in another person, where we might be overgiving, where we might be oversharing, all of these things. And it helps us to come into greater balance. And this is actually really perfect for a 6 because so much of your journey in this lifetime is finding ways to advocate for yourself, to have higher standards, and to not take on burdens that you don't have the capacity to see through to completion, and that can lead to feeling like you're being taken advantage of, or feeling drained, burnt out, resentful, all of those things. So when you as a 6 move through a 2 cycle, it's giving you an opportunity to recognize where things are out of balance and what is needed in order to find that greater realignment. And a lot of that's going to be coming back to your center and, recognizing where you're feeling depleted, where you're recognizing that, you're feeling taken advantage of, or like a doormat, or where you're just seeing that there's not an equal exchange of energy within your connections, within your relationships. And it might mean that, you might need to change the way that you show up to relationships. You might need to change the way that you receive those relationships, or what you will accept within those connections. A lot of that's going to come through greater conversation and greater understanding, or seeking understanding. But this cycle is all about finding that greater balance. And usually what that means is at some point we're going to have to advocate for what we need. We're going to have to say no, not take on more. Or, if we're in a place where we're able to give more, then we can show up in that way. And we can say yes and take on that responsibility. But the 2 cycle helps us to make really informed decisions. And by informed, I mean the information that we're being presented with, but also following our inner guidance, our intuition, and how we feel. And so if you've been burning the candle at all ends and you're feeling very much depleted, this 11-2 energy is going to confront you with where it is that you have to make some changes, because other people aren't going to make those changes for you. And so if you are burnt out, like at your wit's end, and then someone asks you for something and you say yes, you are actively putting yourself in that position to be even more drained, more burnt out. So it's recognizing what boundaries you need to have and then enforcing those, right? And by boundaries, I just mean like knowing when to say no, knowing when to advocate for yourself, stand up for yourself, and not take on things that you don't have the capacity to take on. Even if it ruffles people's feathers, even if people are upset, finding your way through that uncomfortableness is going to be what helps you in the long run. And also working with a 2 cycle, this could be a time where you need the support. You need to ask for, what it is that you need from others at this time, and not just constantly looking for ways that you can show up, but, express what you need from others and how you need others to show up. So again, you're combating any resentfulness or feeling like you're being taken advantage of, and you're fostering that greater exchange of energy between the two of you or between whoever's involved. Now, it's interesting because I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you got the Five of Pentacles. And so again, this is kind of indicating that, there's this feeling of lack. There's this feeling of maybe being sort of in victim mode or putting yourself in that position of being the victim of a situation. And I'm not talking about situations where your power is being taken away or someone's trying to control you or whatever, right? Like a abusive relationship. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is feeling like a victim of the world or circumstances or life, and recognizing that, those circumstances, those experiences are not going to change if we just get stuck in that victimhood. If we just assume that nothing is ever going to work out, or we're always going to be taken advantage of, or whatever, insert your victim slogan here. And so with the Five of Pentacles coming through, it's that reminder that, you have the power to change your circumstances. And usually that's through decisions and actions that will help to get you out of that. And so one of those would be, especially moving through a 2 cycle, would be, finding that greater balance, speaking up for yourself if there's something, and saying no if you don't want to take something on, or taking a risk in a direction towards something you do want to do that maybe you've been telling yourself no or neglecting yourself about before. So, if you're kind of stuck in that loop of poor me, this is going to be one of those cycles that kind of gives you a swift kick in the bum that says, you got this. You just, take the time that you need to kind of wallow, but then move out of it. Don't get stuck there, because you're not going to move forward. And you're just going to see the same experiences on repeat until you figure out how, what you need to do in order to get yourself out of that situation. Some things in life we can't change. We have to learn to manage and work with them. But some things we can change. And a lot of times it stems from our belief system, our view about the situation. And then we understand what we need to do in order to change that experience for the better. And so this cycle can show you what that shift may be. Life path number 7, you all are going to be working with the vibration of the 3 for this full moon. So you're starting the year off with this beautiful opportunity to tap into your creativity, to the way that you communicate, how you share your messaging, and to find ways, creative outlets, to shine your light, to tap into your talents, your gifts, your natural ways of expression that feel good for you. And through that process, you will likely tap into more optimism, more joy. And, when we tap into our own personal creativity, our own creative style, when we are showing up as authentically ourselves, and when we're showing up in a creative way with all of that, that can feel really, really good. So this full moon is helping you to tap into your inspirations, your artistic nature. And it doesn't have to be for money. It doesn't have to be for any kind of destination or reward. It's simply an opportunity to find ways and find creative outlets to express yourself. The goal of the 3 is really to tap us into the light of who we are, and then find ways to express that, to share that, to get that out into the world, no matter who sees it. It's just about that opportunity to express ourselves in a way that feels true and authentic. It shows us ways to speak our truth through our creative expression, through our communication style. And that can be quite literally through writing, speaking, artwork, or it can be what you choose to wear, how you choose to present yourself in the world. Fashion is an expression of creativity. It's an expression of self. And this cycle is asking you to embrace it. Now, what you're going to have to probably work through with this cycle, especially because it's a full moon, and then full moons usually indicate some kind of closure or realization or something coming to completion, fruition, whatever. You're likely going to have to work through any of that self-doubt you might have, anything that's keeping you from expressing yourself fully, tapping into your creativity, finding your creative outlets, and then using those creative outlets to express yourself in some way. Overcoming any fear of criticism or fear of failure or fear of being judged or whatever may come up for you. And working through it And a lot of times the way we work through that and find our confidence is just by doing it, right? Putting one foot in front of the other and putting ourselves out there and recognizing that, you know what, even if someone does make fun of us, even if someone does ridicule us or disagree, it's not the end of the world, because you're not going to please everyone. You're certainly not even going to please most people. So, if you're not being yourself and you're not expressing yourself in a way that feels true and authentic for you, and you're not exploring your creativity and your innate gifts and what you have to offer in the world, then you're not being true to yourself. And that's the devastating part. Then that's truly devastating. But if other people just don't like you or choose to, again, judge you in some way, that's their loss. And honestly, they're probably just upset that they're not expressing themselves fully. And you are. So I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you got the Page of Pentacles. And so this kind of indicates to me that, through whatever this 3 cycle brings up for you around your creativity, self-expression, communication, finding your creative outlets, again, tapping into your innate gifts and how you want to share those gifts, I think there's some kind of opportunity that might present for you in order to share those gifts, in order to try new things and to, again, explore some of your hobbies or your gifts or whatever, right? So in finding ways to express yourself authentically and uniquely, you will likely see doors open for you. You will likely see, your experience open wide up. And so with the Page of Pentacles coming through, this is a new offer. This is a new beginning. This is a new idea or a new inspiration, but it has legs. Like, it has the potential to turn into something viable, something that could produce, something that could bring success. So I say, go for it. Like, I do see this cycle as one for exploration, but also, again, moving through those debilitating mindsets or whatever it is that's keeping you from saying yes and taking the risk and taking the leap of faith. Once you move through those obstacles or those hurdles, I think there's a really good opportunity waiting for you on the other side of it. But you have to get started and you have to take the leap of faith. Beautiful energy here, sevens. This 3 cycle is testing your ability to shine your light, and it's pushing you to get started. Life path number 8, you are going to be working with the vibration of the 13-4 for this illumination. And again, because we're working with a full moon, there's something here about things coming to completion, culmination, fruition, maybe some closing out of certain things or releasing of certain things that are necessary in order for you to move forward in a particular way. But with this 13-4 cycle, coupled with this full moon, this offers an opportunity for maybe unexpected breakthroughs that can be quite life-altering. And so what it may be having you look at are areas within your creative life, your personal life, anywhere where you might be overly stubborn or fixed in your ways in some way, and where you might need to break free from that or start the process of breaking free from that or finding greater balance in that. And so if there's anything like with your approach where maybe you're overly traditional or, again, just that need for control kind of taking over and you're unable to see or entertain new perspectives, this cycle could show you where that is and help open you up to a different way of doing things or a way that can kind of help you to build that more solid foundation. And sometimes to do that, we have to break free from the rigidity. So this cycle, can help you to overcome any maybe self-limiting and self-sabotaging belief systems or actions that you might be taking, can help you kind of move through. Well, first of all, recognize any of the limitations that you might be working with, but also how to work through those and to manage them, and maybe seek out assistance so that you're not only focusing on how you can overcome it, how you can make it happen. You don't need to be in that hyper independency. You can ask for support and receive that support, but you first have to express what those needs are. And the other side of this that might come up for you, because anytime we move through a 4 cycle, it can be sensitive. It can be a sensitive period, an emotional period. So if you have been detached emotionally from anything, then you might find that some things really bubble to the surface, especially about anything in your past, anything to do with like fathers or father figures or anything along those lines could come up at this time. So being vulnerable, honoring those emotions, feeling them, whether it's alone, journaling, being contemplative, or whether it's through therapy or, connecting with a friend, however it is that you can honor those emotions, acknowledge them and process them. This is such a beautiful time to do that, because it's through that processing and acknowledgement and greater awareness that we can start to transmute that, channel those deeper emotions into something constructive as opposed to destructive. I would also say with this cycle, take a look at where it is that you might be loyal almost to a fault. So that can be in a relationship, in how you show up to, certain relationships. It can be with your work, with your career, with a creative project, however it comes in for you. But there may be some area where you're like overly committed to it or like overly loyal, even though maybe it's no longer for you or it's not working. You might be trying to force it to work because of that loyalty. And so there is this element of, checking where your loyalty lies and why. The 4 asks you to get to the details. Why is this important to you? If you're doing it, whatever it may be, strictly because you said you would, or because the other person wants you to, or because you started it and you're going to finish it, you might need to reevaluate that and just make sure that you still feel connected to whatever this is, that there's still purpose there, that it still feels like something you want to achieve. Otherwise, you could be just maintaining that loyalty more out of pride, I guess. And this 4 cycle could help you to be confronted with that and hopefully release that in some way, or start to move away from that in some way. Now, I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you got the Wheel of Fortune. So something's shifting here. This cycle will likely bring in a tremendous shift. And I said that at the beginning of the reading. The shifts that this brings in, because of that 13, could be very monumental. It could be life-altering, life-changing. And it could be, the starting point of that, or the catalyst for that could be your change of perspective, your change of belief, your change of whatever. And that can start the ball rolling in a totally different direction in some area or many areas of your life. But you're a key player in this, so it's not going to happen, obviously, without you. But if you have felt like things have been difficult, things have been challenging, you've been stuck, this 4 cycle is going to help you to see why you've been feeling stuck and what you need to do in order to turn those tables, right? Wheel of Fortune, something's shifting here, and it's likely shifting in your favor in some way. But again, I say that table's not going to shift without you. So you have to do the work, which the 4 will require you to do in order to see the rewards, but it'll be worth it. Life path number 9, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 14-5 for this illumination. So this can feel like a very freeing cycle. So it can feel a little bit disruptive, like there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things maybe in flux or shifting for you at this time. And it can be belief systems or something within your experience, relationship, you name it. The 5 energy is all about shaking things up. But this is one of those energies where, again, it's all about that greater liberation within our lives and expressing ourselves in a way that feels truthful and authentic and unique to ourselves. But also finding the moderation in all of that. So not going to the extremes, the extreme of living in excess or the extreme of deprivation and sort of sacrifice. And that's one thing that I think is really important for 9s because, in this lifetime, depending on where you fall on your journey, you could be moving through phases where maybe you're going through that self-sacrifice or that extreme deprivation, lack of worthiness or feeling, undervalued or whatever it may be. And when you move through a 5 cycle, especially as a 9, it's pushing you to to break free from where it is that you might be sabotaging yourself or sabotaging your relationships because you don't feel deserving, or you feel like maybe you're overindulging, whatever it might be. But it's helping you, this 5 cycle, to release, because this is a full moon, anything that, again, is standing in your way of that greater freedom of expression, of experiencing life with all your senses in moderation. But for 9, sometimes that can be difficult because, you feel that responsibility, that pressure of showing up in service. And again, it can kind of move you towards that deprivation. Or maybe you're a 9 who does overindulge and kind of goes to that extreme where it's more about what you can gain in this lifetime and how this world can serve you and all those things. And so as you move through a 5 cycle, it could actually be a little humbling and showing you where maybe you need to rein it in a little bit. The goal of this 14-5 energy is to help you to find that inner freedom through discipline, focus, and committing to whatever it is that you want to achieve. But also while, being a bit fearless and going into an experience wanting to get the most out of it, whatever the experience might be, whether it's a challenging experience, whether it's one that brings joy and fulfillment, whatever you are experiencing, you are meant to experience it, like truly experience it. So when we move through 5 cycles, it's going to help us to do that. This might be a full moon where you feel called to travel, to go on an adventure, to, shift your focus onto something new, try something new, to be the explorer and bring in more versatility into your life, more fun. A lot of times, again, 9s can be a little bit more serious because this is a big lifetime. And so when you move through a 5 cycle, it's reminding you that not everything needs to be so serious, and to remember to have fun along the way, even if you're the one who has to create that fun. Overall, this cycle could bring in greater clarity, greater aha moments, greater awareness when it comes to what needs to be shifted, what has become overly mundane, overly quote unquote safe. And it's really just you sabotaging out of fear of the unknown, out of fear of what's next, out of fear of what you can't control. And so instead of facing that, you are staying in that cozy blanket, even though life is trying to push you into the next chapter. So this 5 cycle, especially with a full moon, especially at the beginning of a new year, new cycle, brand new energy, could really be pushing you, outside of that comfort zone. And you're not meant to go far outside of it. Just take the first couple of steps, try something new, explore, be curious, and be adaptable in the process. And that's how you're going to get the most out of this cycle. Now, I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you got the 3 of Swords. So if there's something that you've been moving through that has felt rather devastating, or it's been really heavy on your heart, it's felt maybe, just very sensitive, this cycle, this 5 cycle, could be the antidote that you need to help to pull you out of that. And I'm not saying like bypass your feelings or your emotions or whatever. Of course, honor that, feel it, move through it, right? You got to feel it to heal it, all that. But there is something here about not letting all of your focus, all of your energy go towards whatever this is. And I go back to that piece of, creating joy within your life, celebrating, being curious, trying new things. Doesn't mean that you can't sort of compartmentalize and, feel the pain along with the enjoyment, along with the experience of life and the curiosity and trying new things and all that. We are multitaskers as humans. And so the energy is not asking you to bypass whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever you're moving through, but it's just reminding you that that's not the whole picture. That's not all of you. And so you can feel the feelings associated with whatever this is, whatever this loss may have been, or this frustration or whatever it may be. But there's also like the rest of you that's also still living, right? That's still moving. There's still moving parts. So don't ignore that. Don't allow whatever this event might have been to suck you in to where that's all you see. Because there's more to, this journey, and you're a multitasker. So you can feel the pain while also experiencing joy in life. So it's just kind of reminding you, which I think is really important as a 9, to not get sucked into, through the heartache, cynicism or pessimism, but to maintain your idealism, your optimism, your hope that, tomorrow is going to be a brighter day, or it could be you might be on the cusp of that brighter day. So not to get fully enveloped in whatever this devastating event might have been, to still honor it, but don't let it become your wholeness of who you are. And ultimately, this 5 cycle, this full moon might be the thing that really shifts you out of that, if you're truly ready to move forward. Life Path 11-2. So you all are going to be working with a vibration of the 16-7 for this full moon. And this is a wild card, meaning that there's likely going to be a lot of moving parts around this illumination. And things can be happening very, very quickly, vying for your attention. And so there's some things that will likely need to be shifted at this time. There could be some losses or setbacks, but those losses or setbacks are really trying to, again, get your attention to see where you keep investing your energy, where you keep showing up. Maybe it's has to do with your health or a relationship or a career or whatever, where you keep showing up to your own detriment. Like you keep taking actions or making decisions that are actually sabotaging you or working against your best interest. And so this full moon is trying to get you to move away from those behaviors, those beliefs, those actions in order to get different results. So when we move through a 16-7 cycle, it can be some kind of greater awakening. It can shake us awake by sudden events, or again, some kind of almost extreme aha moment where we're like, okay, I have got to make some changes here. I have got to do things differently. I have to make some decisions that will move me in a different direction and start to take different actions, because the direction that I'm moving in or the actions that I'm taking aren't helping me or anyone else, but they're actually hurting me, or they're holding me back, or they're, keeping me stuck. So this is that shake up moment that's saying, let's shift gears, but in like a significant way. And, the 16-7 is represented in tarot by the Tower energy. And so again, it's like that lightning bolt aha moment where it's like non-negotiable change, a non-negotiable shift, meaning now that you have the awareness, what are you going to do differently? If you keep showing up in the same way, you can do that, but you're going to keep getting the same results, and you're going to start to feel like overwhelmingly frustrated by the experience that you continue to receive. And so this is that defining moment that's saying you have to change something here. You have to do things differently here. And then it's up to you what you decide to do with that or what that looks like. But this is that energy that's saying you have to do something. You have to shift here. What that looks like will be up to you. But it's kind of that energy that says we can't go back to the way things were, and we can't keep doing things the way we've been doing them. So have a think about, and you won't really even have to think about it, if this energy is for you, then it will show up and it will show you exactly what needs to change. And circumstances that kind of happen around whatever this is will sort of push you in that direction, right? So it's like, it's by invitation to some degree, but it's also by universal divine intervention, because it's that your soul's understanding that something needs to change here. So it could be that maybe you've been procrastinating on something for a really long time, and you now understand the urgency of like, yeah, okay, I have to take care of this. Like I have to do something with this if I want to see results. And so it can just be like that shift in the framework, that shift in the perspective that creates the action. But as always, like you are the key player here. It doesn't happen without you, but with whatever this is, the universe will likely make sure that the situation continues to get increasingly uncomfortable until you decide to make some kind of a change. So it's kind of like semi-manipulation from the universe, but it's this that those experiences of life, right? Where it's like our soul knows that we need to shift gears. And when our soul sees we're not shifting gears, then it makes the experience that much more uncomfortable. So we are like, you know what? I don't want to keep doing this way. I want to do something different because I want different results. This is also a very intuitive cycle. So it's pushing you to go inwards, to listen to, again, the calling or the advice of your soul. And there's so much wisdom there. So it would benefit you to listen and to trust that deeper messaging that you're receiving. And that's going to help you to formulate plans that you can implement as you move forward and as you sort of start to shift gears in this area of your life, wherever that is. But ultimately, you know what's best for you. And so this is one of those cycles that refuses to allow you to ignore that wisdom. And so you might find yourself in experiences where the world is telling you to do something one way, but you feel very much invested and called to do things your own way, in a way that feels right for you. And you don't really have to explain your reasoning. You don't have to really ask for permission. You just need to follow your intuition, your inner guidance, the calling of your soul, and take action in that direction, because that's going to produce the results that are most aligned with, again, what you came here for, what you want, the experiences you want to have. Also, this is a beautiful time to check your priorities and what has value to you and why. Why does it have value for you? And why do you keep showing up if it doesn't hold value for you? So there's a lot to look at under this full moon, but remember, full moons are about endings, closure, culmination. And so there might be some things that you have to release in order for you to create the life you want to have. So I pulled the tarot card for you all, and you got the Knight of Swords. And this just really kind of, reiterates that this is a fast-moving energy. It's a very direct, very impactful type of energy, but it's very fast-moving. So you could feel very impulsive at this time. You could feel like things are shifting really, really quickly. You could feel like that aha moment comes in and you have to do something. And so you're figuring out what to do. Doesn't mean that you make those decisions quickly. It just means that there's that sense of urgency that comes in where it's like, I have to do something here. I have to make some changes. And it might not even mean that you have to make some changes necessarily. It might mean you just have to get started. Like, again, if there's something you've been procrastinating on, this is that energy that's saying, what are you waiting for? Let's go. And so again, this is happening this is the very first full moon of 2026 of a brand new cycle, universal cycle, and a brand new year. So there is that sense of, let's get started. Let's make this happen, whatever we have to do. I would say don't be overly impulsive. Like, you don't want to just completely, throw everything out and start new from scratch with everything. This energy along with the Knight of Swords, is just pointing you in the direction. And it's saying, now's the time, take action, whatever that action looks like. So again, it's a very fast-moving energy, though, and you could see a lot of shifts and changes. You could see a lot of or feel that sort of intensity around this full moon. And it's just, again, pushing you to take the first step, or take many steps, but it's pushing you to get started. So I would say take the invitation. Life Path 22/4s. So I can't really complain about any of the energy that we're seeing for this full moon for 22/4s. So we're going to be working with a vibration of the 27/9. And so this is one of those energies of growth. This is one of those energies that brings in opportunities for things to blossom, for things to bear fruit. And so we could see that this proves to be, although it's a shorter cycle, but it can be the starting point, or like a culmination point, like the ingredients coming together, or the people coming together, or doors opening at this point. And I say that because it's a full moon. And so it's not necessarily like that initiation. It's more like maybe you've been doing the work for something, or you've been moving towards something, or, throwing ideas out there. And now, like, the people, places, things are starting to show up that can help you to kind of see how this is going to take shape, how this is going to move you forward. So it can be very promising in that sense. And you might find that relationships, whether they're business relationships or like personal relationships, could, bloom at this time as well. And so it kind of feels like that energy of springtime, even though in the Northern Hemisphere, we are very much in the middle of winter. But, it's that kind of energy where things are starting to come to life, where things are starting to grow, or again, you gain like a deeper understanding about the potential or how it's all going to work, right? So a lot of times, especially for 22/4s, we get like the inspiration or the idea, or we see the solution, and then we have to kind of figure out the pieces to make it all come together, to make it work. And sometimes that has a lot of moving parts, more than just ourselves. And this is one of those cycles where, again, like you've kind of been doing the detail work, right? Trying to figure out the puzzle pieces. And now like you're getting some headway. Like there's some things coming together that feel like, okay, I can see how this is going to work. I can see how this is going to play out. There's that promising potential. And so you gain that like sort of deeper understanding. So it can be like that energy of putting the wind back in your sails of like, okay, this has not been all for nothing. Like things are starting to pay off a little bit here. And maybe you're not seeing the full results yet, and that's very, very possible. But you could likely, again, see those puzzle pieces come in that didn't make sense before, but now it's probably going to make a lot more sense. And for those personal relationships, this is one of those energies where you could be taking a relationship to the next level. So like marriage, or talking about starting a family, adopting pets. I mean, the options are endless here, but this is like taking that deeper connection even deeper. And so that can be really beautiful. This is a cycle where if you've been planning to launch something, if you are planning on opening a new business, if you are working on a creative project or some kind of creative endeavor, any kind of thing where you are the builder, right? Again, you're the master builder. So anything where you are the builder, this is one of those energies that can really help to showcase your work, help to give you that boost with that creative enterprise, whatever it might be. This is the time where there's a lot of supportive energy behind you. Could find that you have a lot of people in your corner, a lot of people want what you have to offer, or again, people coming out of the woodwork, like finding you because of your wisdom or whatever it is that you have to offer. And so this is like, again, this is kind of that energy where it brings all the ingredients together so that you can have that success with whatever it is that you're trying to create here or build. But again, you're not meant to do it alone. And that's a signature of the 22-4. We're not meant to do it alone. We have to do it with others. We have to collaborate. We have to connect. We have to have that teamwork piece. And so you have to recognize where you still have some limitations, and then again, reach out to people who have the strengths there and can help you. So enlist the aid of others. That's really going to be a keynote here. That's going to be really important. The other thing I would say is, this is a beautiful energy for boosting your morale, for boosting your confidence, for helping you to overcome any self-doubt that you might have been grappling with. And so this can be one of those energies that really lifts your spirits and brings that optimism back into play, brings that hope back into play. I mean, you're a 22-4, so you're likely still pretty grounded in realism, but it can definitely spark that idealistic nature a little bit. And again, just remind you of like why you're working so hard towards whatever this is. So that positive attitude, people are going to want to be around that. They're going to want to work with that. You're going to be good at motivating other people, getting people excited about whatever it is that you're all working towards. So that can be wonderful as well. And I pulled a tarot card for us. And again, beautiful energy. It's the Star card. And so this is, one of the most benefic energies in tarot. And so it just blends beautifully with the 27-9 because it basically says there's some kind of wish being granted, like something that you've been working for, but it's a wish being granted, everything kind of coming together. There a beautiful balance, a beautiful harmony of, again, all of those ingredients coming together and making the most delicious cake. So it's that reminder that you can have the abundance, you can have the prosperity, you can reach your goals that you're seeking. You just have to show up, and you have to, obviously put in the effort and all those pieces, but there are forces that you can't see that are working in partnership with you that are helping you to achieve whatever it is that you came here to achieve. And so that inspiration, that's your driving force. And when you're inspired, when you're feeling connected to something that you're a part of, then you're sort of working in conjunction with the universe, with the unseen, because you're bringing to life things that have energy, have that beautiful life force associated with it. So again, it's this beautiful partnership, and getting the Star card is that reminder. There's like all pieces of the puzzle holistically, body, mind, spirit, coming together to create whatever it is you're looking to create, to be a part of whatever it is you're looking to be a part of. So a really supportive cycle that we're in for this full moon. And again, it's kind of like that energy of, when you are in balance, body, mind, spirit, holistically, good things happen. And so if there's some area that you're out of balance, then this is such a great time to get back into balance, and you will see great things happen. And almost as if by magic, but of course the magic is you and it doesn't happen without you. So very supportive, very beautiful, very abundant cycle. I wish it was longer. It's only for the full moon, but I think we can get a lot out of it. So celebrate anything that comes in for you that feels uplifting and feels like, things are working, because that doesn't always happen for 22/4s. We have to work really hard for it. So when it does come in, take some time and celebrate it and enjoy it. Life Path 33/6, you are going to be working with the vibration of the 38/2 for this illumination. And so this is a master number because it does have the 11 there, 3811/2. And, again, anytime we work with master numbers, which you are also a master number, but when we have it in a cycle, it can bring in, just a lot of maybe pressure, a lot of feeling like, okay, I have to make this happen. I have to show up. I have to do the thing. I got to stop procrastinating, whatever it may be. And so it pushes you to take the necessary action, whatever that may be in your life. And so for this vibration, it's one of those energies where it reminds you that by moving towards what inspires you, by moving towards what feels right, what feels good, continuing to make decisions and take actions that move you in that direction and away from the things that drain you, that feel overly burdensome, that, feel like you're stuck, then you'll start to see better results. And that a 3811/2 is really pushing you to take that ownership, meaning, okay, if I'm in a situation, whatever that may be, that I don't like the experience, it's up to me to make the decisions and take the actions that will shift that experience. And obviously that means like working with whatever life throws at us, because we have that component that we can't do anything about, right? We can't control that. But we can control like the decisions that we make and the actions that we take. And that really does determine our true experience. And sometimes that means the whole making lemonade out of lemons type of thing. But really, this cycle is actually really benefic, or can be benefic. But there might be some speed bumps along the way that you'll just have to contend with and overcome. But ultimately, the 38 brings in this opportunity for a lot of abundance, advantages that can come your way. This is one of those times where it's like, if you're willing to show up and put in the effort, you can see great results for whatever you invest your time and energy into now. This is one of those cycles where it actually really benefits you to, put yourself out there, take that risk, take the leap of faith when it comes to understanding what it is that you need, and then asking the people who have what you need for that. And so that can mean going to the higher ups, or, someone who, again, is in a position to help you that maybe you would have shied away from asking for that assistance in the past. This is one of those cycles where people in high positions can absolutely show up to assist you at this time, and maybe even to tap you for something that can bring in a lot of recognition, that recognizes, again, what you have to offer. So it can be really powerful in that sense. You're going to have to show up though, and you're going to have to recognize that, yeah, you're worthy of whatever this is. And because this is life, of course you may get a no, right? You might ask and get a no. But what this does also, this process gives you that confidence to recognize, I do deserve this. I am worthy of this. And when I speak up for what I need, I might get a few no's along the way, but eventually someone's going to say yes. So it's that great practice of, again, being your best advocate, speaking up for what you need and asking for it, and then receiving it graciously. And sometimes that can be hard for 6s and 33/6s. So this is a good time to get that practice. This is also one of those cycles that can be highly intuitive, can be very spiritual in nature. So, as a 33/6, you're probably pretty sensitive to energy and pretty tuned in. And so I would say, listen to your intuition, listen to your dreams, listen to, that gut feeling that might be speaking to you at this time, because there's a lot of really powerful advice that can come through from the unseen at this time. So, decide how you want to work with that. But what's most important is that you actually work with it. This is a great cycle for really flexing that muscle and or, getting reacquainted with it. If you've been kind of cut off from your intuition or your sixth sense, so to speak, this is a great cycle to get reconnected to that. And you could see some kind of magic come through. So I would say play in the magic. I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you got the Eight of Swords. And so, if you're familiar with tarot, the picture that's depicted here is a woman who is sort of bound, but it looks like she's almost bound by like toilet paper. I mean, like very thin bindings. It's not like rope or whatever. It's just very so would be broken very easily. And also she's surrounded by swords, but not really surrounded. She could easily walk through them, right? And there's a blindfold loosely put on her, across her eyes. And then in the background, there's this mountain with then like what looks like a city or a castle on top of that mountain, but it's not like a huge mountain that's, unattainable. And so the kind of the messaging here is there's something that you may be like a belief system or your actions that are holding you back from your abilities, like what it is that you can actually achieve. And it can be like in anything, right? Like maybe you just want to ask a person out. And this is also, this 3811-2 is also a beautiful love vibration. So for some of you, you could meet someone very significant at this time who could be in your life for quite some time. But going back to the Eight of Swords, this is one of those energies where, there's something that you're doing that's sabotaging yourself, that is holding you back. And the energy is saying you just have to kind of like overcome that fear, overcome that loop that might be on replay in your mind that's telling you you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not going to achieve this, you're not going to do this, whatever. Once you overcome that, you'll easily break free from the rut, the whatever it is that's making you feel stuck. And then you can start to climb that mountain, right? You might see that mountain and think like, oh, I'll never make it to the top. It's not worth it, right? And again, you're keeping yourself stuck. And so there's something here that you need to kind of break free from in order to get out there and live your life. So yeah, and it usually comes back to our own thoughts and what we believe about something or what we believe we're capable of or worthy of or etc. So there's something here around this cycle, which totally makes sense too with the 3811-2, because that's saying go for what inspires you, move towards what feels right, what feels good, what feels aligned. And a lot of times we fail to do that because we talk ourselves out of it or we talk ourselves down and we keep ourselves small. And, what we want or the experience we want to have is within reach. Like we can get there, but not if we keep coming back to this little self-imposed prison that we've created for ourselves. So there's something here for that I want you to kind of take a look at around this full moon, because it's a full moon. So it's a culmination, it's a closing out, it's an ending. And I think for you all, there's something here about ending the self-sabotaging actions or thoughts that are keeping you small, because this is a really big lifetime for you. And there's really not a lot of time to be stuck feeling small. So very, very powerful energies for you all around this full moon. Life Path 44-8, you are going to be working with vibration of the 49-4 for this illumination. So a lot of fours in this equation, which again works very beautifully with your life path number. This can be a really powerful cycle for anything to do with business or career or, how you sort of make money or support yourself, and if you're someone who doesn't need to work, then maybe your philanthropy or how you share your gifts, how you spend your time, what you invest in. And so there's something here that puts the spotlight there. And as long as you show up in a way that is honest, that is looking to be of service in some way, share your wisdom in some way that can serve others as well as yourself, then I think you could see this as an abundant cycle. It could bring things in for you at this time that really brings a lot of clarity and opens things up for you. This is one of those cycles, though, that's going to require you to show up, to decide what it is that you want, and then what action you need to take, and continue to persevere. no matter how long it takes. Taking time for rest and that sort of thing as well. But it's one of those cycles that says you can have what it is that you want. You can have the experience you want. You can have the life that you want, the lifestyle that you want, but you have to build it. You have to create it. You have to make it happen. And it's going to be through that, perseverance and determination and putting in the effort that you're going to see the results. And this is one of those cycles that is kind of that reminder, like, hey, remember what you're working towards. Come back to your why, remember why you're working towards it. Why do you want this thing? Whatever it may be. And what do you need to do in order to get it? And then how can you continue to show up? What's necessary in order for you to show up in the way that you need to in order to make it reality. And so you could feel at this time also that things are coming to fruition here. Like it's one of those things where you've been putting in all that work and you've been putting in all that time. And now there's bringing, things to fruition and you're gaining that sense of satisfaction for a job well done. And by well done, I just simply mean you're seeing the results that you want to see. You were seeing the results that you intended to see. And all that hard work or all that work and dedication is paying off. So there is that element of that physical accomplishment, that tangible accomplishment. So it can put the wind back in your sails for like, okay, yeah, the work does pay off. And one thing I will say, anybody who has strong fours in their life path has to put in a lot of effort in this lifetime. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so for you all being a master number 44, everything that you put your mind to, everything that you want to create, to build, to be a part of, will take a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of dedication, a lot of patience. But the reward is always in direct proportion to the effort. So it's always worth it. So this is a full moon, brings in culminations, fruition, completion. And so it might be that some of you are at that completion point and that wind is getting put back in your sails because you're like, wow, okay, I did all this work and now look at all the rewards, look at the abundance, look at the, whatever it was that you were working towards. So that's possible. For some of you, you might be, starting something, initiating something, having an idea for something and getting excited about something, a new goal perhaps. You just have to remember you're going to have to put in the time in order to see the results, and those results will be worth it. And I would say that this is definitely one of those cycles where you want to examine your pursuits and what it is that you truly desire, what has value, what doesn't, what is worth your time and your energy and your effort, and what isn't. And, the question to ask yourself is what I'm pursuing? Is it something that will bring me greater freedom, more joy, or is it just going to replace one set of restrictions with another? So pay attention to the goals that you're setting for yourself as we start this new year, as we start a new beginning. What is it that you're creating for yourself? What is it that you're setting your mind to that you want to create for yourself starting this year? It's going to be really important because you want to make sure that where you're putting your time and your energy is actually going to bring you the results you want to see. It's interesting because I pulled a tarot card for you all, and you did get the Tower energy, but here's the thing with the Tower. People see that card come out and it's usually like, oh gosh, no. But the Tower card is, it serves a very powerful purpose. And really it's about greater awakening, greater understanding, greater clarity. It's one of those cards where, with the energy where something has been coming in for you on repeat by invitation. So your soul, the universe, God, whatever you subscribe to, has been sending you the message that you need to do X, Y, and Z, or you need to change X, Y, and Z, or you need to show up in this way, or you need to do whatever. And it's not coming from something external to you. It's coming from you, from your soul, again, from like the source that you are a part of. So the message has been coming in, but for whatever reason, you haven't been receiving it. And when the Tower energy comes through, it's that indicator that because the invitation was sort of ignored, and we ignore the invitation all the time for many reasons. So it's not like you did something wrong. It's just that, for whatever reason, you missed the message, you missed the invitation. Now with the Tower card coming through, it's that divine intervention. It's the intervention. So at this point, something will likely come through or happen or whatever that might feel a little bit jarring, might feel a little bit like an earthquake in the moment, but it is truly helping to shift you rather probably abruptly onto the path you are meant to be on at this moment. And that might look very different than the path that you have been on. And so you might have to move through the uncomfortableness of that shift, but that shift is helping you to see there is a better way. And the better way is not on the path that you've been on. Now, again, this isn't about for your life. This is about for some area of your life, right? So just keep that in mind. If you notice some kind of significant or abrupt shift or loss or, again, aha moment that might make you a little bit nervous or whatever as you're kind of moving through it, just understand the universe has your back. Your soul has your back. It's not setting you up for failure. It's actually setting you up for success. So, move with the energy the best that you can. And if something does fall away at this time, especially it being a full moon, just understand it had to fall away, right? You've been getting the invitation to release it for a while now, but for whatever reason, missed the invitation. So now the universe is stepping in. And, so it's for your highest good, though it might not feel like it in that moment. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's pushing you towards that 44-6 or 44-8, and it's helping you to step into that path, right? So it's helping you to make the adjustments necessary in whatever area this shows up for you in order to continue on a path that is going to help you achieve your soul's goals, not necessarily the goals of your ego, but your soul's goal. So very, very powerful energy for you all around this full moon. I hope it's a great one. Take care. Bye for now.